Once again, good day listeners. Today we're going to talk about PHP CRUD operators, on how we can create data, update data, read data, and also delete data from database. Very quickly, we want to go to our Notepad++. Here we have created a file called index.php. This file has bootstrap links, which we have imported into our file. We have our JavaScript, which has our jQuery. If you go to our working directory, you will see this file folder called what? Bootstrap. And inside this bootstrap folder, we have CSS, we also have what? JS. So we are going to make use of this bootstrap file, while we are going to use it for what? Our styling. Now, if I open this file now, I will go to our PHP localhost. If I index this folder, index, access this file, index.php. Alright. Index.php. This is what we got, because we have not had any file or any design to this page. Now, very quickly, we'll go back to our working directory, which is our PHP index.php. What we're going to do right now is to start with our what? Little design. I'm going to come here. I'm going to create a new div. That's a div, and this div is going to have a class. I'm going to call this class container. Now we're going to make use of this div, and in this div we're going to have another div inside this div, and this div is going to add as a parent div. Now here, what we're going to do now is to create another div. I'm going to come here as a div, and this div has another class. Okay, I'm going to give it a class of :-md, and it's going to be -12. Okay, we say margin top is going to be 4. Alright, so with this we are going to create this and also close it here. Alright, close it here, close this div here. Now that we've been able to do that, next what we're going to do here, let's create a header. I'm going to come here and say h5. We're going to close this, our h5. Now I'm going to call it here, let's give it a title, something like let's call it okay, I'm just going to leave that h5 because I'm going to use it for alert purpose. I'm going to create another new div. Okay, this div will be the one that will hold all the attribute that we are going to use as our what? As our front view. Okay, with our user interface. So inside this view, we are going to come here and say class. Okay, this class is going to have what? A card attribute. Okay, I'm going to use card. Now if I save this file and come here and come and say create another div, like I said earlier on, it's going to have a multiple divs here, which will be acting like as a parent div and also a child div. So yeah, inside this div, I'm going to come here and say create another class, give it a class attribute selector, got it a card dot what? Header. Alright, now that we've done this, this is all we have to do. If we go to our page, you refresh it, fine. You see, we have this div here. You can see this div showing in this background. Now, we are not going to stop here. We'll continue from there. We're going to come here and say, okay, create one h3 tag, close it here, call it h3. Now I'm going to give it a title. Remember, I'm going to call it a PHP CRUD operator. Alright, operator. Okay, I'll put S. Now if I run this page, this is what we are going to have. Alright, this is how our page is going to look like. Alright, now next I'm going to do here is to come here. Let's align this text. Let's align this text. Put it what? Center. Align it as center. Okay, and this is going to have a class attribute. Alright, in this format, so that the whole text will be at what? At the center. Okay, now if it's not working, let's look at what's actually happening. Okay, align class, align center. All right, okay, we're going to give it that way. All right, fine, it's not bad. Now what we're going to do now, we're going to come here. I'm going to come here and leave it that way. Now next, I'm going to come here immediately after this div, which is a h3 element. Immediately after the div, I'm going to create another div here, which I'm going to come here and say, okay, create another div. and this div is going to have a class attribute, and we're going to come here and say, okay, call it also what, card dot what, header, just like we had before. I'm going to close this here as well. Now that we close it, I'm going to come here, copy this h3. I'm going to come here and put it something here. All right, good. Now inside this place, I'm going to call this one, say view users. This one is going to be what, to view users. Okay, this one is, the first one is to what, inside this first one. Okay, inside this first one, I'm going to come here and have what, an href. All right, this href, we're going to call it what, let's say we're going to create a file called add underscore users.php. all right, okay, this file is not existing yet. I'm going to put a hashtag here to comment it. So I'm going to come here and I close this what, hashtag. I'm going to come here and say add users. So what we had here is the same thing. I'm going to come here when I say, okay, view what, view users. Okay, I'm going to call this one view users. Now we have two anchor tags here, so we're going to make use of these two anchor tags. So what we have here now is okay and fine. If I refresh our page, this is what we're going to look like. Fine, this is how it's going to look like. We are going to make use of these two data in this format. Now very quickly, I'm going to come here. I want to make it look like a button. All right, if I'm going to make it look like a button, I'm going to come here and say class is equals to, have a btn, okay, btn with a primary attribute, and I say float it to end, float it to end. Okay, so it's going to look like button. Good. All right, it's going to look like button. Now the second one, we are going to do the same thing. I'm going to copy this thing here. I'll have here, I'm going to put it here. I'm going to say btn, I'm going to call this one success. All right, success. Okay, now if I refresh our page, this is how it's going to look like. Remember, this success is not spelled correctly. It's going to be double C. All right, so I'm going to refresh the page. Good. Now we have our landing page design okay and perfect. This is how it's going to look like, and this is how we want it to look like, so that by the time we come here, each time you visit the page, we can come here and say click to add user, click to what, view users. So we successfully what, create a first page, and this first page actually capture how we can what, create a landing page for our applications. So in the part 2 of this video, we'll be talking about how we can what, create a form whereby we can insert data into the database, and as well create our connection string where we can connect our database to our file, so that we can be able to what, interact with our database. So far so good. We are going to stop here. In our chapter 2 or part 2 of this video on this CRUD operator, we're going to talk about all these things that I've just listed. Thank you for your time. If you like this video, don't forget to share it, don't forget to like, don't forget to comment on this, on the comment section. I remain your friend Joshua. Thank you for your time.